Hello, you are here for the 3 holistic steps to get unstuck and move forward with your life. My name is Lori Brandt. I'm a life coach. I always wasn't a life coach though, and part of my story is going to tell you how I transitioned from being a physical therapist to the role of a life coach. I'm also the founder of Shri Wellness and the Women's Soul Tribe. So this lecture is for you if you are feeling stuck in a rut. Maybe you have an inner drive for change or transformation, but you just don't know how to tap into that energy. So these steps apply if you're feeling stuck personally, emotionally, in your health and wellness, financially, in your relationship. Doesn't matter where you are feeling stuck, these steps can help you. So I want you to make sure that you stay tuned to the very end because I do have a special offer for you, but you won't get to hear about it until the end. So I'm here to tell you that you actually are not stuck. The real reason that you're feeling stuck is fear. And this is a good thing. And this is why. We get very comfortable with the space that we're in. We may not be feeling joy, we may not be feeling fulfillment, but we're very comfortable. We know the routines, we know the rituals, we know the schedules, we know what's expected of us. This other space that's out there that we maybe think that we might experience more joy and more fulfillment is very scary to us because we don't know what to expect. We don't know the schedule, we don't know the routines, and we don't know the rituals. So I want you to listen to this. The fear of us staying right where we're at is so much less than the fear of venturing out to that space of the unknown. However, baby steps are the key. So what happens with baby steps is you maybe take a little step towards that area that you're so fearful of and so scared of, and you realize that, oh, it's not so bad. Or another thing that can happen is you take a baby step and then another baby step, and you start to get some inertia and some momentum that just propels you forward so that you're just able to go for it. So what happens if you're feeling stuck but you don't act on it? Well, I'm here to tell you that change and transformation is going to occur, but it might not happen on your terms or not in a positive way. So I think the easiest way to take a look at this is if you're feeling stuck in your health and wellness. So we all know that if we're making really bad lifestyle choices, if we smoke, if we drink too much, if our diet is really poor, if we're overeating, eventually we're going to gain some weight. That can result in some high cholesterol, maybe some high blood pressure. And that can transpire even further, right? We become obese, maybe morbidly obese, and that can lead to things like cardiovascular disease, maybe diabetes, maybe some kidney disease. If we're overweight, that can affect our body image, and that can result in some anxiety and depression. So I think we kind of know that if we are stuck in our health and wellness and we don't act on it, some negative things are going to happen. And once we're slapped with the diagnosis of diabetes or cardiovascular disease, we absolutely are forced to address that. So that change and transformation is coming. It just might not be on our terms. But what about if we're feeling stuck in a relationship? Well, what can happen is that relationship can become toxic. Maybe it will result in some emotional abuse or some verbal abuse or even some physical abuse. But you know, us ladies, we're really good at faking it and keeping things bottled up inside. So if you're one of those individuals, then change and transformation is still going to occur, but it's going to manifest somehow inside of you. So that might result in some chronic migraines, maybe a gastrointestinal issue, maybe some sleep disorders, maybe some low back pain. Again, it's going to change in transformation. It's going to occur, but it might not be on your terms. Well, what about if you are feeling stuck, say, professionally? So, you know what? I've been there, right? And here's what happens. We go on autopilot. We just do what we need to do just to get through the work week so we can get to our weekends or for that 1 week vacation time we have a year, right? So we no longer really become an active contributor to our employer. So maybe you're sitting here as you're listening to this and you're thinking, nope, that's not me. I still give 100%. I still give my all, even though I'm not feeling fulfilled and joy and feel like I need a change. Well, something much worse then can happen to you, and that is you can experience burnout. And once you experience burnout, man, that change and transformation, that is going to occur because you're going to be forced to address that. So this lecture isn't for everyone. So this isn't going to help you if you're not willing to change. If you don't have time for change or transformation, or you're not willing to invest in yourself. Now, when I say invest in yourself, that might mean something financial. That might mean that if you want to change your career, you might have to invest in some classes, which is going to take a financial investment. Or maybe you want to start your own business. You may need to find a business mentoring program that helps you set up your business. And again, that's going to take a financial investment. Maybe you're feeling stuck in your relationship. Maybe you're going to need to invest in some counseling. But investment can also be just your time and your energy that you're putting into it as well. Okay, well, moving on to step number 1, which is mindfulness. So going down the rabbit hole. So I hit a milestone in my life when I turned 30, and at the time I was going through a really nasty divorce. And I went down that rabbit hole of no self-worth and no self-love, which resulted in severe anxiety and depression. So just to give you an idea where I was at, I was taking a medication for anxiety. I was taking an antidepressant. I was taking a medication for acid reflux. My asthma medication, I have asthma, it needed to be doubled. And in addition to that, I was probably drinking at least, this is a light guesstimate, half bottle of wine a night. So it wasn't that I was feeling stuck. Like I knew I was on a downward spiral and I needed help. And when I would go to my doctor and ask for help, he just wanted to write me a prescription for another medication or just increase the medication that I was already on. And I already didn't want to be on this medication. He even said to me, he was like, Lori, you know, what I find once people go on an antidepressant, it's something that they struggle with the rest of their life. So you're more than likely going to be on these medications the rest of your life. And I remember thinking, no, that's just not acceptable to me. I didn't want to be on these medications in the first place. So I just knew there had to be another way. So around this time, I read something that meditation could help with anxiety and depression. And I had also started to do yoga, not consistently, but when I would go to a class, the instructor would really emphasize breathing. They were always saying inhale and exhale. And I remember thinking, oh, there must be something to this breathing thing. So I decided I was going to start to meditate. I had no idea how to meditate, but what I decided that I was going to set a timer for 5 minutes, and when I would physically breathe in, I would say to myself, inhale. And when I would physically breathe out, I would say to myself, exhale. So I set my timer, and here's what happened. When the timer went off, I realized my brain went anywhere and everywhere except for my breath. It was an epic failure. And then I was stressed out and had anxiety because I couldn't meditate. But here's the thing, I decided to commit to it and dedicate myself to it. It was just 5 minutes a day. So I was like, I'm going to just try again later. And I'm going to try the next day, and I'm going to try the next day. And it wasn't very long before I was able to meditate for the full 5 minutes. And then I was able to meditate for 7 minutes, then 10 minutes, then 15 minutes. And I started to look forward to these meditation sessions so much because I was feeling better. Also, along the same time, I started to do yoga more consistently. When I say more consistently, I was doing it twice a week. Now, fast forward to well over a decade later, I now have a 6-day-a-week yoga practice, but that took me a really long time to build up to 6 days a week. But I want to go back to the 5 minutes of meditation a day. So within less than a month, I was able to get off my antidepressant. I was able to stop taking my anti-anxiety medication. I was able to get off the reflux medication, which I didn't even realize was correlated, quite frankly. I just thought I was having a gastrointestinal issue. I didn't realize it had to do with my anxiety and stress. And I was able to cut back on my asthma medication by half. I also stopped drinking the half bottle of wine a night. And the remarkable thing is this all happened within less than a month. So I started telling everybody about meditation because it made such a dramatic difference in my life. So now I even tell people that my yoga practice, now I lump my mindfulness practice, my meditation practice all together with my yoga practice. So I tell people my yoga practice is the most important thing in my life. And this is why. Because of my yoga practice, I am a better daughter. I am a better sister. I'm a better lover. I'm a better partner. I'm a better teacher. I'm a better coach. I'm a better physical therapist. I am the best version of myself I could possibly be. And to me, there isn't anything better than that. My yoga practice makes me a better human. So to me, what could be more valuable than that? So the analogy I like to use is when I was going down that rabbit hole of no self-love, no self-worth, my glass was pretty much empty. I didn't have much to give. Well, now I feel like my glass, not only is it full, but it's spilling over, and I have so much more of myself to give. And that is why I feel my mindfulness practice is the most important thing in my life. So, does your mindfulness practice have to be yoga or meditation? No, there are many ways to practice mindfulness. You could basically have a gratitude practice where you write down all the things that you're grateful for in the morning. You could just simply be taking a walk in nature, but you pull out the earbuds and are completely present. You could practice some Tai Chi. You could simply just be washing the dishes, but you're fully present and in the moment. So there's many ways to practice mindfulness. So if you don't have a mindfulness practice, how do you get started? Well, the easiest way is to start how I started, and that is with the meditation, and that's just focusing on the breath. So you're just going to set a timer for 5 minutes, and you're going to focus on the inhales and exhales, and that's it. And if it's an epic failure, you're just going to try again later, and you're going to try again the next day, and you're going to commit to it, and you're going to dedicate yourself to it. So there's no stress in meditation. If it doesn't work, again, you're just going to try later. Okay, step number 2 is taking care of your physical body. Now, this step's going to be a little bit more of a harder sell than the last step, but I just want you to bear with me. So maybe you're thinking, I'm stuck professionally. What does my diet and nutrition have to do with that? Well, I just want you to listen to my story, and then you can be the judge of that. So my story starts with a trip to Spain. So several years ago, I planned a trip with my boyfriend at the time, and I wanted this trip to be romantic and whimsical and fly by the seat of my pants. And of course, we made some plans and had an agenda, but one of the things that I didn't plan was where we were going to eat. And why this was a problem was because at the time I was a vegetarian. So I just figured wherever we were sightseeing and wherever we were touring around, that's where we would go and eat, and I didn't want to make it a big deal. Well, I'm sure there was plenty of vegetarian places to eat in Spain. It's just wherever we were going, wherever we were sightseeing and touring around, there was not. It was very meat heavy. So for 10 days, and this is not an exaggeration, I lived off of pastries, bread, cheese, olives, and wine. So maybe you're thinking that sounds delicious, but let me tell you, after 10 days of that, once I came back to the United States, I felt like I couldn't move. I felt like my entire body was inflamed. When I tried to go back to yoga, I felt like a brand new beginner because I lost my flexibility, I lost my strength. I literally felt horrible. I had no motivation, no drive, but I knew what it was. I knew I had just ate like crap for the last 10 days. I literally abused my body and I was now having the consequences. So I decided to go on a cleanse. So keep in mind, I was already a vegetarian, so I decided to switch to a vegan diet. So basically what that means is I already wasn't eating meat, but I gave up eating eggs and I gave up all dairy. So no butter, no milk, no cheese. All right. In addition to that, I gave up eating gluten. So no flour, no pasta, no breads. I gave up refined sugar. So the sugar you're going to find in candy and cookies and cake, not the kind of sugar you're going to find naturally in fruits. And I gave up drinking wine. So I started this cleanse on a Monday, and the whole idea, I was just going to do it for a very brief period of time just to kind of reset my body. So this was Monday. By Wednesday, I literally wanted to climb to the top of a mountain and scream at the top of my lungs how amazing I felt. And I was like, why isn't everybody doing this? Like, I feel incredible. When I went back to yoga, not only did my flexibility and strength return, they improved, but they improved in 2 days. That makes no sense. I had so much motivation. I had so much drive. I just felt so good. So, full disclosure, by Friday, I was meeting with some friends and I decided to have a glass of wine. And I remember thinking, oh my God, is this just going to screw everything up that I just did all week? And it didn't. I continued to feel really good. So I was planning on doing this for a few days to reset my body. It's now years later and I have not changed my diet. And my motivation is just how good I feel. So if you feel that diet and nutrition and how you're taking care of your physical body doesn't affect how you're feeling when you are in the state of stuckness, I'm here to tell you you are absolutely wrong. It makes such a dramatic difference. So my analogy for this is our bodies are our sacred vessels. So when we're not getting enough exercise, when we're not eating the right foods, when we're not getting enough sleep, when we're not hydrating enough, it is like a total disrespect to our sacred vessel. This is what holds our essence, our inner being. So that is why it is so important to take care of our physical body. So what can you do right now to get started? So remember, I believe in baby steps. So I know I made kind of like a dramatic change, cutting out all those things in my life. Um, but I'm not asking you to do that. So I want you to just take a look at the things in your life that maybe you can improve on. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you staying hydrated? Are you exercising on a regular basis? Can you maybe cut back on the sugary drinks? Can you maybe add in more fruits, fresh fruits and vegetables? Can you maybe cut back on the processed food, especially the processed meats? Okay, we're already on step number 3, which is changing your mindset. So this is one of my favorite things to talk about. So, I'm going to talk to you about how I transitioned from being a physical therapist to the role of being a life coach. So, now I'm talking about a change professionally, but these steps I'm going to walk you through, it doesn't matter where you're feeling stuck. So, if you're stuck in a relationship, or you're stuck in your health and wellness, or stuck personally, these steps can still help you with that. So, the journey to become a physical therapist was a long one. And this is where I'm going to sound like I'm bragging a little bit, but I have my undergrad degree, I have my master's degree, I have my doctorate degree, I have multiple advanced credentials that are almost the equivalent to having like another master's degree. In addition to that, I have been with the same company for 20 years. So why I'm telling you all this, it was a lot of time and it was a lot of money to invest in my career as a physical therapist. I've been in the field of physical therapy for almost 20 years, and quite frankly, for a really long time, I loved my profession. But after a while, it started to wear on me. So, being a healthcare practitioner, it can be hard. You're dealing with insurance issues, you're dealing with deductibles, high copays, visit limitations, and then I was working for a large corporation, so I was getting hammered about productivity and other factors that were just outside of my control. And also, I just felt like I wasn't making a difference. So maybe you're thinking, well, you're a physical therapist, you help people for a living. Why would you think that? Well, this is why. The reason I felt I wasn't making a difference because I actually wasn't treating the cause of a problem. So let me give you an example. So I worked in a busy outpatient orthopedic clinic, and people were coming to see me for a very specific reason. So let's just give the example of low back pain. So what they expected of me was for me to work on their back and give them some exercises so their back would feel better. But when you looked at this individual holistically, they were having a lot of other issues that were contributing to your low back pain. They were maybe making some really poor lifestyle choices. They maybe were smoking too much or drinking too much. They maybe were overweight. Not only were they overweight, they might have been morbidly obese. In addition to that, their diet and nutrition was really, really bad. And they had all the comorbidities that went along with that. So high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, kidney issues, heart disease. They had all these other factors. They were just ill and just not feeling well. In addition to that, they were struggling with things like poor body image and anxiety and depression. In addition to that, and their outlook on life was just very, very negative because they were just not feeling well. But they weren't coming to me to address all that. They were coming so I could work on their back and make their back feel better, give them their exercises. And here's the thing, that worked. I would work on their back, I would give them their exercises, and they would feel better. But then 6 months later, or maybe a year later, they would be back for the same issue or a very similar issue. Now, not every single one of my patients was like that, but quite a few of them were. I would say the majority were, that they were return patients. So that's why I started to feel like I wasn't making a difference in the lives of these people. So I started to have that feeling inside of me that I was ready for change and transformation, but I didn't know how to tap into that energy. So what else can I do? I already explained how much I invested into this career as a physical therapist. Now, at the time, I was teaching yoga part-time on the weekends, and I remember thinking to myself, well, maybe I could start doing more of that. And because of my story about switching over to a plant-based diet, I was inspired and I became a certified nutritional physical therapist. So then I started to think, well, maybe I could do more diet and nutritional counseling. And then I just thought maybe I could just do more education and workshops. Well, there was a problem with this, and that was my thought process was really unidirectional. So I wanted to treat people more holistically, right? But now I'm thinking, oh, I'm just going to teach more yoga, or I'm going to do nutritional counseling, or I'm just going to do some workshops. So again, it wasn't holistically treating the problem. And that's when the light bulb went off. That's when I decided to go into coaching, because then I could coach people on any of these aspects. I can continue to be a physical therapist. I could counsel people on diet and nutrition. I could counsel them on mindset and mindfulness and meditation and teach them yoga. I could basically whatever area in their life that they needed, I could help them with. So maybe you can see what was happening here is that I started to get clearer and clearer about what it was that I wanted. Okay. And I took some baby steps to get there. So one of the things, now I was still working full time in a busy outpatient orthopedic clinic, but one of the things I did was I built a website for this business that I was envisioning. So let me tell you about websites. If nobody knows about your website, you can publish it and put it out there. Nobody's even going to find it if they don't know about it, right? And that's pretty much exactly what I did. So I published this website, but I didn't have any clients. I didn't really have a clear business plan yet. But what I was doing, it was a baby step, right? I was starting to get my brain to focus in on, hey, this is the direction I'm going to be heading. So this is another thing, anybody that's out there looking to change their profession, this is such a simple thing to do. And that is, I had business cards made up, and it really wasn't expensive to do this at all. So I had the name of my business, I had my name, and my new title, right? And what this did, this gave me something that I could touch and that was tangible, that I could look at. And again, it was another little baby step that, hey, this is the direction I'm going to be heading. So another thing that I did, and even to this day, it gives me goosebumps, is I wrote out my resignation letter, but did not send it. Now, at the time, the office where I was working at, I was getting hammered with things that were outside of my control, my productivity. I was getting threatened that they were going to take the little bit of help I had away from me, even though I wasn't even managing with that help. And I remember I was just not in a good place with the company that I was with. So I could have taken my resignation letter one direction. I could have been like, screw y'all, I am done, I'm out of here. But instead, I decided to take it the exact opposite direction. I decided to basically fill my resignation letter with gratitude. And I basically put in the letter, I am so grateful for the time you have given me with this company. I'm so grateful for all my coworkers and the friendships I've made. I'm so grateful for all the relationships and how I've grown as an individual and in my career. So just filled this letter with gratitude. And what this did, this allowed me to take a step backwards so I could see how truly grateful I actually was. Because of this company, I was able to have a really good life. I was able to have a house, I was able to have a car, I was able to pay off my school loans, I was able to take some really nice vacations, I was able to have a really nice lifestyle because of them. It's just at the moment in time, I just was not in a good place and I was disgruntled, right? So taking that step backwards allowed me to appreciate all these things. So I wrote this resignation letter but did not send it. But what I did do is I printed it out and I put it in 3 strategic places in my house. So the first place was I put it on my refrigerator. So every time I went into my fridge, I would see it and I would read it. I put it on my bedroom door. So every time I went up to go to bed, I would look at it and read it. And I put it right beside the wall where my toilet is. So every time I sat down on my toilet, I would read my resignation letter. So I live alone, so I actually did this. I read my letter out loud and I was reading it multiple times a day. So from the time that I wrote my letter, from the time that I sent my letter, it was less than 6 months. And here's what happened is things started to transpire. I started to get people that were approaching me, asking me if I was taking private clients. I had some collaborations with some other women to work on some projects. I just had some business opportunities that I didn't even know existed come up. And it got to the point where my full-time job was getting in the way of doing all these other things that I needed to do. So by the time I hit the send button on that resignation letter, I was very confident and ready to hit the button. So what's going to happen is the how is magically going to present itself. So you're not going to focus on the how. You're maybe going to see a post on Facebook, or you're going to run into somebody you know and they're going to present you with a business opportunity, or you are going to have this opportunity that you didn't even know existed just show up for you. So you're not going to focus on the how, you're going to focus on the what. So if I were to walk into the room with my magic wand and tell you, I'm going to give you exactly what you want, what is it? That's what you want to get crystal clear about. So you're going to focus on the what and you're not going to worry about the how. So maybe you're sitting here thinking, I have no idea what I want. That's okay. I'm embarrassed to tell you how long it took me to figure out what I wanted. And I just feel if maybe I had some tools, if I had more discipline, I would have been able to figure this out sooner. And that's why I'm helping you with this. So what you're going to do is you're going to actively work on this, even if it is that you don't know what it is what you want. You're going to journal on it. You're going to set your intentions and goals. You're going to maybe make a vision board. But you're going to start to get clearer and clearer about what it is you want, and you're going to focus on the what, and you're not going to worry about the how. So I have one more story to tell, and that's my story about when I was feeling stuck and didn't act on it. So I'm telling the story so maybe other individuals can learn from my mistakes. So I was in a relationship, and to be quite honest, the relationship was tumultuous. So we had good times, we had bad times, we would fight, we would break up, we would get back together. It was one of those relationships. So a few years ago, I went to India for some yoga training. And the training in India was really intense. But what it did, it gave me these large chunks of time in the afternoon where I could self-reflect and journal and meditate and just work on some things. Now, at the time, I was working as a full-time physical therapist, so I didn't have time to journal and self-reflect and take a look at these things. So it was really nice to have this time to myself. This is actually where I birthed my idea of my business, Shri Wellness, was when I was over in India. So, but I also took some time to analyze this relationship I was at. And quite frankly, we were not bringing out the best in each other. We were actually bringing out the worst. And I just felt like this individual was holding me back from the things that I wanted and needed to do. And I started to get crystal clear about the fact I needed to end the relationship. So I basically came up with a plan. When I was to return back to the States, I was going to break up with this individual. Well, what happened is when I returned home, I saw him and I changed my mind. Now, keep in mind, I was crystal clear about what I wanted to do. But the reason I changed my mind is I remember looking at him thinking, what if this is just a phase I'm going through? Or what if this is just a feeling or a whim? I've invested 3 years of my life with this individual. Am I just going to throw that away? So I decided to do what us women do really well, and that is fake it. So I pretended like I still wanted to go out with him, and I still wanted to see him, and I still wanted to be with him. And apparently I'm really, really bad at faking it because he was able to pick up on that. And what happened, not only did this relationship turn toxic, it turned downright violent. And remember, change and transformation, it's gonna occur. So it did occur with 3 police officers in my living room. So yeah, and it was definitely a forced end to the relationship. And I can't help thinking back that maybe if I would have acted on when I felt that I should have ended the relationship, maybe things would have not been so violent and maybe they would have been different, but maybe they wouldn't have been at all. I'm not sure. On that note, I didn't mean to end this on such a negative note, but I do want to review the 3 steps. So just to recap, the 3 holistic steps to get unstuck. Step number 1 was mindfulness. Now, if you don't have a mindfulness practice, you're going to start exactly where I started with the 5 minutes of meditation a day. You're going to set your timer, and if it doesn't work, you're just going to try again tomorrow. Then you're going to try again the next day. You're going to commit to it, and you're going to dedicate yourself to it, to that 5 minutes. Step number 2 is taking care of your physical body. Again, just take baby steps. You're going to just analyze what things can you change to improve yourself. Whether that is getting more sleep, whether that's adding in more fresh fruits and vegetables, maybe that's cutting back on the sugary drinks or the processed food, or especially the processed meats. Again, baby steps. Step number 3 is changing your mindset. So remember, I have my magic wand and I'm going to give you exactly what you want. What is it? So you're going to focus on the what, you're not going to focus on the how. Those are the 3 holistic steps. So maybe you're thinking these steps are just completely foreign to you. And how do you get started? So I just shared my steps to how to get unstuck and get really clear about what you wanted. So you've listened to how the steps work, how they're executed, and how they can transform your life. But these steps can seem daunting if you're not familiar with them. So if you would like me to help you implement these steps together, I absolutely would be so excited to do so. Now, at the beginning of the lecture, I mentioned that I maybe had a free gift for you. So I want to tell you a little bit about the offer that I have for you. I've set some time aside on my schedule on how you can implement these steps today. Basically, I'm giving away free coaching sessions. This talk is normally worth $120, and you can just go onto my website and schedule a time with me. So the website is right here. It's shriwellness.com/road-to-radiance. So here's what's going to happen on this call. I'm going to basically ask you what you feel is lacking in your life right now and what steps you can holistically start to change your current lifestyle. And we're going to come up with a plan. We're going to figure out what steps are going to get you feeling better and to basically accelerate your lifestyle to a healthier, happier, more radiant one. So on this call, if we see the value of working with together, we can discuss what that's going to look like. And I might invite you to come on as a client. And if we decide to work together, we're going to begin our work right away to get you to your goal. But maybe we'll decide that we're not going to work together. And I want you to know that's absolutely okay too. However, I do have some requirements for my call. So this program isn't for everyone. There are some requirements, and that is you must be willing to work and be open to change. And you must be dedicated to assigning time for self-care and be willing to invest in yourself. And this is not for individuals that do not prioritize their well-being. So maybe you're wondering, why am I doing this? Well, I'm offering these calls to be of service to you first and foremost. And I want you to be able to implement my steps without struggle, without wasting time or money, and also while getting some results. So maybe you're thinking, why would you work with a life coach? Well, quite frankly, to get faster results. When you work with a coach, you are more likely to actually do the steps, and you have someone that is actively holding you accountable. You are also investing in you, which is invaluable. So if you were a celebrity or you were an athlete, you wouldn't be expected to succeed on your own. You absolutely would have a coach. You would have a coach to help guide you, to correct your form, to identify areas of improvement, and to give you positive feedback. Now, I have a mentor, I have a teacher, and I have a coach to help me both professionally and personally. So if you would like to learn more about my individualized coaching program, which includes different levels of support that will meet you where you are at right now, all you have to do is contact me through my website. It's the shriwellness.com/road-to-radiance. I just wanted to take the time to thank you for listening to this lecture today. I look forward to hearing from you, and if you did want to book your call, just so you know, spaces are limited, so I would go ahead and do that when you're finished here. Thank you so much again for listening, and namaste.